Yeah, hi everyone. Pleasure to be here. Actually, I was here last year and I introduced what our vision will be with AI, with concepts, our thought process. And today I'm back and I'm happy to announce that we went live. So all the features I'll be showing you today, you can actually use them. But before that, in my presentation, I want to bring across 3 points. The first point is, what is Alibaba.com? I quite often at these events get asked, hey, this is something like Amazon probably. And I have to say, well, not really. We do a different type of business. The second question is, I want to show you the rationale. Why do we think AI is so important for our business model? And then lastly, I want to show you real examples how some of our customers have used the AI and what the learnings are we have while introduced the AI. Exactly. Before I start, 2 or 3 sentences about me. Yeah, my name is Patrick. I lead the user growth and partnerships team in Germany and the German-speaking area. I'm half Chinese, half German, so I grew up between the 2 cultures. And when you speak fluent Chinese in Germany, you have to start your career in the automotive industry. And I started my career a decade ago at BMW. But when 3.5 years ago, I got the offer to build up Alibaba.com in Germany as the 5th employee. Now we are almost reaching 3 digits. This was a once in a lifetime chance, and now it just shows how important the German market for us is, because later on I will also share some market data for you guys. So Alibaba.com, we were founded in 1999. That's the nucleus of the Alibaba Group. Our vision was back in the day to become the biggest B2B platform in the world, and we have achieved this for many years now. And we connect factories to purchasers, distributors, brands, and we help them to create new products, to differentiate their products, and to be ahead of innovation. In numbers, what does that mean? We have over 50 million active users on our platform every month. This is very important later on, because when you develop AI, you need data and you need a lot of money. And we can distribute the costs of developing our own AI over these 50 million active users. Our customer base is from over 200 countries. And the GMV we generated in the last quarter was 50 billion on our platform. And I think, as you can see, we have 2 customer groups I mentioned early on before. The first customer group is the sellers, the factories, the manufacturers, the producers, and we connect them to the buyers. But in order to create a seamless and smooth experience, we have to create an ecosystem. So we started just from a pure sourcing platform. Then we moved towards fintech. Then we moved towards logistics. Then customer relationship management was really important for us in the past. And now we open a new chapter with AI. Here's a screenshot from the important categories in Germany, and you can see the typical e-commerce categories like consumer electronics, lifestyle products, home and garden, beauty products. These are really strong categories. But you can also see categories that are very European or very German are here. So machinery, automotive. So we really have a mixture. We can't say, okay, it's only this part or this area. And this is all powered by the ecosystem, as I mentioned. In the beginning, with the first pillar we have is, we call it our global supply network. All the manufacturers we have, we help them to find their customers in the B2B context. In the middle, we have our digital sourcing tools. AI agents is the next big topic in the world of AI. We believe so as well. We will introduce features where an AI agent, for example, can help you with customer acquisition or with frequently asked questions. And I will show in 2 or 3 slides also a little information about, okay, what are the learnings we have while rolling out these things. And then lastly, of course, the ecosystem. So when you do business on a global scale, you need trust. How can you ensure trust? How can you find the right producer for your products? How can you move money efficiently from A to B across the globe? And lastly, logistics powers all of it. And we as a platform player have really an ecosystem where you can play all these different sides. What's also important in nowadays supply chain is we have globalization on one side. And I think during the pandemic, we all learned that localization is also something important. And that's why we have teamed up and took over Visible. It's the company that owns Wer liefert was and Europages over a year ago. And our strategy is like this. Alibaba.com will be the main point for global sourcing. If you want to buy products from overseas, from the US, from China, from India, Visible and the companies underneath will be our pillar for the European business side. We want to empower German trade in Germany, European trade in Europe. So this is our strategy. You can see we try to play on both sides. On this side, you can see how the supply chain has been built up. So there's a lot of stereotype or misconception that we only sell products made in China. This is not true. It's partially correct because the supply chain has grown there in the last 20 years. So if we look at certain products, let's say new energy, battery, solar panels, machinery, or consumer electronics, Naturally, these products are made in China because the manufacturing hubs are just created there. But if you look on the next level, you can see products that use a lot of handcraft. Wood, for example, is made in India. Textiles, apparel is made in Pakistan. And then for cosmetics, you can see the first European country, that's Italy. That's one of these biggest players here. On the right side of the slide, you can see the biggest countries. I think what I'm personally extremely proud of these buying countries is that Germany is number 6. So we achieved this within 1.5 years, and the growth is still going quick. But I think if you glance at this, you see something. China's not in the top 20. And the reason for this is we have another solution in China for China. So China is a little bit down the line, but I think the most important learning curve is that the United States was and still is the biggest market for us. Earlier on, I mentioned that investments in AI are very expensive. You need data, and not small companies can achieve this in order to play with the biggest players. But the learnings we've developed in the past by setting up a global payment network, by setting up a logistics platform, by setting up a financial network, these are all learnings we could transfer to our AI strategy, because we can distribute these costs around our customer base. We're more than happy to invest in the beginning and then recoup these investments over a longer period, because we have done these experiences in the past. And when we started the rollout of our AI months before the release last year, we had some beta tests, some people we invited to use it, and we generated this learning curve. So in our beta test, with over 60K users worldwide who used our AI exclusively, we invited them. And one of the biggest learning for us was that the top users of AI and the people who are mostly convinced and positive about AI were from the developing countries. Our top users were from Pakistan, Vietnam, and Bangladesh. We expected in the beginning to see Europe and the US there, but this was really a learning curve where we can see that even micro companies were really excited to try out AI. On the right side, you can see that over 7 million products in that phase were uploaded with the help of AI. This is something we're really proud of, because it helps to take out the language barrier. It helps to position the products better so they can be found by the search engine, or you can differentiate you better by the competition. Then over 20 million buyer requests were answered by the AI in the first step. So every seller in the beginning can upload a sheet of frequently asked questions. Hey, what are the specifications of the product? What's your lead time? What do I need to do business with you? And the AI can help and answer all these questions in the beginning and take the pain point out for people who want to scale up the business. And the interesting fact is, because it's quite easy to say, hey, AI, it's not efficient, people don't want it. But the learning curve was 26% saw an increased buyer rate answer. So they actually liked to get their information instantly and not to have to wait a couple of hours or days in order to get their answer. And overall, what we are proud of is that the overall conversion rate for these parties who used our AI increased by 52%. So that was actually measurable impact for their business. And the majority of these, or all of these, are of course using it more and more. So now I would like to go a step back and show you why we think AI is so important for us. So this is a general, typical supply chain for people who want to source products from across the world and say, okay, I want this product to be sold in Europe or in Germany. As you can see, it's a multitude of different processes. Maybe this process you have to do it with every batch or with every product launch you have. And when you start scaling up your business, when you're talking about 20 products, 200 products, or 2,000 products, this gets an extremely tedious process. So we have broken it down into 3 main pain points we wanted to tackle. The first one is, in order to participate in global trade in the past, you need to have a lot of expertise. How do you handle customs? How do you handle logistics? How would you send money to Brazil if you would like to source a product in Brazil and you have no idea about Brazil? So this is the first barrier we have identified. The second we identified is that this complex supply chain is repetitive. So it can be tedious. People don't like to do this because supply chain is not very often the sexy part. It's the product creation. How can I move my brand? How can I increase customer retentions and new customers? So we said it's something that like this, that's competitive and repetitive, that's the perfect fit for AI. And lastly, it's highly dynamic. We all remember the time of supply chain disruption. Imagine for all your 2,000 products, one product gets stuck somewhere, and the AI can really flag it and show, hey, here is something that's not normal, have a look at here. Or you can even ask the AI, hey, I have this product problem, how would you solve this problem? And then we have, of course, the time where technology moves. In the past, In the offline area, you had to find your experts. You have to come to events like this, be lucky, talk to the right person, have the same vision, and stay in contact. And the problem was, people in physical events can only create limited connections, good connections, very important connections, but it's hard to scale up. The second time in the internet age was suddenly you could find everyone online. It's easy to find people, talk to them, but you will get information overload. If you want to look for a supplier for one product, you can suddenly find 2,000 suppliers. So it's really hard to navigate this field. And lastly, in the AI area, what we really think is knowledge will be really easy to be accessible, and then you can scale up your tasks, and then everyone can be on the same level field, because we think it's important that also these micro business owners will also participate in this. So now our strategy for setting up our AI, we had 3 fields where we said, okay, this is something we have to get really right. The first one was, we want to improve our B2B search engine. We want to be even stronger than we are right now. AI can help you to find the best product or target the more specific product. The second is access to knowledge. Imagine how many business ideas are created every night with friends, colleagues in a bar, at home in a discussion, and people are like, yeah, well, I think it could be a good idea. I know how to sell it, but I don't know which specifics do we need, what do we do to do in order to differentiate us from the competition. And this is something where we said, okay, this we have to be extremely strong. And lastly, of course, a lot of pain points are when you try to source products, e-commerce platforms, how to navigate, how do I position myself better. And this is something where we said, okay, on the e-commerce platform with agents and solutions, we will do this as well. So our marketing colleagues came up with this fantastic name. It's called Accio. That's our search engine. Accio in Latin means to summon. And the vision behind this, doesn't matter which product you have, you can use this engine to summon it, to be one step further, so you have this product. I think a video always speaks more than when I try my best to explain it to you. So here's a 30-second video where I can have in a quick download show you the features of our search engine.
Simply give Accio a general request, such as, I'm looking for innovative inspiration for Christmas. By analyzing key factors such as social trends, profit margins, search volume, retail sales, and niche scores, Accio generates hundreds of creative ideas tailored to your needs. By using natural language, you can easily customize your selection plan based on your specific preferences. If you're looking for inspiration or deeper insights into a particular category, the Accio page offers comprehensive market analysis, provides you with valuable data and trends that can spark new ideas. On Accio page, you can dive into detailed sales trends, customer personas, and real customer reviews to gain a thorough understanding of the market, so you can make informed sourcing decisions with confidence. You can also source similar products for more options. Once you've found the perfect option, Accio will automatically send out a price inquiry and request for quotation.
I typed in Christmas decoration because I think this is something with a quite low entry barrier, but I think AI is amazing in the sense of you can type in whatever you want. I will show you later on. I fooled a little bit around with the AI and asked, I'm looking for a specific product that's a little bit out of the normal scope. And then the AI showed me, okay, how it would solve this situation and what the right product, for example, would be. The layout is, I would say, typical Gen AI. As you can see, it's straightforward. But I think what's very interesting is it shows you the most asked question for the AI in the time frame. And for example, there's one that stood out when I took the screenshot. It was, what were the most popular products on TikTok in 2024? So the search engine is not only necessarily limited to Alibaba.com in our network, but it can also access other information points and be like a sparring partner and a guide to walk you through, okay, how can you push your brand to the next level? Here I played around with the AI and then asked the AI, hey, dear AI, I would like to create a ski area in the desert. How would you solve this problem? And then the AI said, okay, you would have to have a hall because snow can't be in the desert. It's probably too hot. You would also have to think about a snow machine. And I want to be honest with you guys, I have no idea about snow machines. So the AI helped me in 20, 30 minutes to get knowledge base for a snow machine, I would say, where I'm quite confident to have a conversation about a snow machine. I know in which direction to go, and it helped me a big step further. But the really interesting part is that the AI also points out to questions you should ask because these are important for. Oops, sorry. So there's one, for example, where the AI think, hey, Patrick, can you please ask the supplier how the performance will change after 2,000 hours? I had no ideas that the performance of snow machines could degrade over time. And this works with every product category and not only snow machines. It just shows you the inspiring power that AI can have. And then also another point is, when you're on Alibaba.com, you find a lot of suppliers, of course, because we're the biggest B2B platform. But what do you do if you have an overload? If you have 5, if you have 10 suppliers who say, hey, they can help you to do it. And our AI, you can ask it, hey, which quotation or which offer do you think is the best? And the AI will give you a structured answer and say, hey, I think option 1 is really good. It's a very credible supplier, but have a look at option 3 because the supply chain and the lead time is much shorter. So you actually have a sparring partner who is a professional who can also help you to answer your questions. On the next slide, I want to show you actually what I did with a partner. As some of you may know, we are the main sponsor of the Olympic Games. So last year in Paris, we worked together with athletes who finish their Olympic careers. Their peak is normally before 30 or 30. And then the problem is they don't know what to do afterwards. And we have a program where we work together with retired athletes to create their own brands or to become entrepreneurs. And I sat together with one of a tennis player who won the gold medal after the Olympic Games, and we just did a brainstorming session, what could we do? And the tennis player told me, Patrick, have you heard of pickleball? I've never heard of pickleball. Has someone in you in the audience heard of pickleball? It's apparently a very hot game. As you can see, it's 3-4 people maybe in the audience. But what I did not know is that pickleball is the fastest growing sports in the world right now. And then the tennis player said, well, I know how tennis works. It's quite transferable to pickleball. How about we ask the AI how we could set up a pickleball brand and what do I need and which products would the AI recommend? So we typed in, hey, I'm looking to expand my product line. Do you have any new product ideas for the pickleball industry? And then the AI searches our platform, goes in the algorithm and say, hey, of course, have you ever thought about these things? And what's important in searches is that you really specify it and give the AI as much information as possible. So we said our target market is the United States. We want to sell there. We want to sell on a leading e-commerce platform, probably one that also starts with A, like Alibaba.com. And we want to go in a certain direction. We could go in, we want a product that has high demand, or we want something where we see, hey, it's a niche, where other players haven't identified it, or we want something where the seasonality is not very important. So we click on niche score in order to be, okay, we want to really dive deep into this category. And the AI suggested some really, really interesting products. One of the products, for example, was pickleballs that glow at night. So you can play pickleball at night. Or you can have pickleball handles that are made of carbon fiber, so they're even lighter. Or as you can see here, pickleball tape or pickleball shoes. And we tried it out with shoes because we thought shoes is a complex product. We don't know how to navigate this field. Maybe the AI can help us to go through. So then we went back and we typed in, hey, I'm looking for pickleball shoes. What would you recommend? I want them to be flexible, durable, and comfortable. Can you please help me and guide me through? And then the AI goes through and says, hey, sure. Here's the first iteration of ideas you could have. And here you can see it's different products in different categories. And then again, hey, how do you want the shoe to be? Do you want it be made of leather? Do you want it to be synthetic? Do you want it to be more fashionable, or is it more about comfort or sports characteristics? So we played around, we selected some things, we were thinking, okay, that could be a good idea. And then the algorithm suggested us 4 products, and we were like, well, to be honest, this is not what we're looking for. We would like to go a little bit deeper. Can you help us? So we typed in, I want a lighter, more breathable fabric. I don't want to have leather or clunky shoes. Can you help me? And then we had 2 suggestions where we said, hey, this could be something that we can go one step further. We can start to talk with suppliers, and we can really find something that differentiates us from the competition. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn and stay in contact. And I think now we can have the Q&A session.
Hi, Patrick. This is really amazing product. So my question is that what is the biggest challenges Alibaba has faced in integrating AI in creating sourcing and product development products?
I think thanks for the question. The biggest problem or hurdle we have is actually to convince special Western buyers and sellers to use the AI. So in our experience, these people tend to be a little bit more skeptical. These people have brands that are a little bit more older and have heritage, and they're like, hey, I don't need the knowledge necessary to catch up because I know how to do it. And that's why I pointed out Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Vietnam was really something amazing for us to see that these countries were like, hey, of course I want to try out AI. And to go even further, a lot of emerging markets, these micro SMEs, they don't even use computers. They use it with a smartphone because they jumped the digital age into it with a smartphone. So this is really something that we say, okay, this is an extremely challenging but also interesting learning curve, because this means also we have to adapt our products accordingly.
So with AI and LLMs, there's always problem of hallucinations, and the information cannot always be correct. And in this case, when we talk about suppliers and getting products, there's a lot of financial damage that could occur. How is that handled basically?
Yeah, it's an important question. So I think one thing I want to point out in the beginning is that we developed this AI by ourselves. So if you dive deeper into this, you can see that we are, I think, number 1 or number 2 worldwide with the most AI patents. So this is something in-house developed. And then secondly, you're totally right, and that's why we had this beta phase last year for over a very long period of time, where we really wanted to make sure, okay, this hallucination, we know how to tackle it, we know how to identify it. But as you mentioned, it's a moving progress. And that's also why our features will come step by step. So one feature, for example, that will come in the next month that I'm allowed to share is, for example, image search. That's just something that we really want to make sure that we nail it, because I think this is even really pushing it to the next level. And this is something, okay, we release the products when we're more confident enough to say, okay, the topic of hallucination is it's not a big topic.
So there will still be somebody who needs to interpret it, right, and make the decisions. Okay, thank you. Where was the next question, please? Yes, I try to be as fair as possible.
Cheers. Hi, Patrick. Great chat. I wanted to ask, is your product currently utilizing any reviews or ratings of the manufacturers that's taken into consideration when presenting the data to the actual person who is looking into the results and trying to understand how everything would work out?
Yeah. It's a very important question, you're right, because in the beginning what we found out is that if you have the top reviewers, the AI would always automatically only suggest you this limited first movers who have the most reviews. So this is one of the questions the AI will ask you in the beginning, because the AI will also tell you if you just go to the highest reviews suppliers, the chances are high your competition is also sourcing from there. And lastly, I think we have an ecosystem. So when you do business with a supplier that's new or has not a lot of reviews, there are mechanisms you can use on Alibaba that keeps you safe. So for example, you can do the money transfer through us. So basically, we only release the money if you say, hey, the product was okay, the shipment was totally fine. But that's a very good question, because in the end, suddenly you just have 2 or 3 top ranked, and the AI would only suggest these suppliers. But this is something we, of course, want to avoid.
Yes, over there. I try to squeeze in here. Thanks a lot.
Hi, thanks a lot. You talked a lot about the supply side, the demand side of using AI. Can you share a bit if there's a vision also for the supplier, manufacturer side, and if so, how it's going to look like?
Absolutely. So this feature is not only for the buyer side. I just went to the buyer side because my hypothesis is there are more buyers in the audience than sellers here. But on the seller side, like if you're a manufacturer or of your own company, I think the AI helps you in various ways. First of all, I told you it helps you to take out the language barrier. Like if you want to sell in the market, you don't know the language. I think we all learned that large language models are a really helpful tool to overcome this barrier. Lastly, the AI tool also shows you trends that it has identified. It says, hey, look, one of your products is sold quite often. Have you thought about it, for example, make it more eco-friendly? Because we can see in your search category, a lot of people look for eco-friendly products. So definitely, it's 2 sides of the medal we play. And I just went to a deep dive on the buyer side.
Thank you. Really interesting talk. I'd be interested to understand how you plan to enable Western companies to use AI, as I see the emerging markets are using AI, but how do you plan to drive adoption with the Western markets to adopt AI?
It's a good point. I think it's a learning curve. I think AI is more and more mainstream. I mean, if you just look at the agenda today, I think there are 20 presentations about AI. So I think in Europe or in the Western world, it's more like a trickle-down effect. And then lastly, of course, we work together with a lot of brands to show success cases. We're like, hey, look, this is powered by AI. You can use it as well. This is something that helps you to differentiate. But it's an interesting question because we try to push the story of being the first mover is always helpful. And I think in AI it actually is, but it's also a learning curve. No one will say AI will make it super easy to do business, but it can definitely accelerate the whole process.
Thank you. So you told one challenge was the acceptance of these AI tools, but you also decided to have this separate interface instead of evolving your current interfaces by AI enhancements. So why is that?
It's a very good question. Actually, we have two fronts of it. I showed you Accio in the sense of, because our vision is in the long term, maybe also to plug in other players on it, because we are part of an ecosystem. So we have many companies, but maybe down the line we want to keep it open. Maybe one of another companies can be plugged in or other players. So I think it shows neutrality in the beginning, but also all these features can be used on the Alibaba.com website. It's not exclusive, you're totally right, but I think it's also a marketing and a branding strategy. Not in the sense of that we want to hide that Accio is part of Alibaba.com. You can see it on the bottom very clearly, plus a lot of the products referenced right now are only Alibaba.com, but it keeps the door open in order to expand it further.